Hi there. As promised, I'm about to read an extract from Before Safe Haven Alex. Apologies in advance, I'm not a narrator by any stretch of the imagination, so I might make the odd cock up. We're hoping to have the paperback out by the end of this week, if not early next week. Christian's just rejigging the paperback cover now, but obviously I'll keep you up to date anyway. So without any further ado, here's Before Safe Haven Alex. Chapter 5, Day 30. Mike flopped on the couch. "So does that mean you're coming home?" he asked. "You are such a dick," replied Emma. "If I had a penny for every time you told me that, I'd be able to buy us all an end-of-the-world bunker." "So are you?" "Put Alex on," she replied. "Alex is out." "Then put Sammy or Jake on." "They're in bed." "Right, I'll call later in the week. See you," she said. "Hey!" shouted Alex. "You're on speaker, who is just winding you up." "You are such a fucking dick, Mike," said Emma. Alex pulled the phone out of the cradle. "Stop that," he said, walking into the dining room. "But he is. I love him, Alex, but I hate him sometimes too," she said. "Your brother loves you. He's worried about you, that's all." "That's not all. He wants to control me," she replied. "That's not true. Look, I'm not arguing about this. How are you?" "I'm fine, sweetheart. Things have stabilised. You walk into the supermarkets and you still can't tell we're in the middle of an apocalypse," he said, letting out a small laugh. "Don't say that," she said. "Don't say that word. So how's my favourite journalist?" "She wants to come home," replied Emma. Alex lowered his voice. "What? Seriously?" "The magazine's going to fold. Half the staff have already left. Michelle has gone back home. I want to come home too." "Wait. What? Michelle's gone back home? Why? What happened?" asked Alex. "She wanted to be with her mum and dad. She asked me to go, but I guess I just wasn't that committed. I want to be with you rather than her. I want to be with my family, not hers. I'm sad, but I'm happy too. Do you want me to come down for you? When are you wanting to come back?" "I've told them I'll work a week's notice. I've got some money squirreled away. I'm guessing when I get back to Leeds I'll be conscripted, so I'll be earning something," said Emma. "God, don't worry about that, love. We've got you covered. We just want you back here." "I'll head back a week from today if that's okay," she said. "Okay, that's the best news I've heard in months. I'll call later in the week to finalise things. Love you, Alex." "Love you too," he replied and hit the end call button. He walked back into the living room. "Your sister's coming home," he said. "What?" replied Mike. "Emma, next week. She's coming home." "What persuaded her?" "I don't know," replied Alex. He felt Mike's eyes boring holes into him, but ignored it. "We need to get all that shit out of her room. I know that much." "I'll get onto it tomorrow," said Mike. "Don't make her regret it, Mike. Don't make her regret coming back." Mike smiled. "I love what a high opinion people have of me around here," he said. "You know what I mean," said Alex. "Yep, I know exactly what you mean," he replied. "Stop sulking. How was your day today?" "We were another man down. No call, no response when we called him. I know his family lived in Reading, so I don't know if he went down there. Don't really care, he wasn't a good worker anyway, but if nothing else it was a pisser at break time. I had to have lunch standing on the line." "Who'd have thought there'd have been such a need for cardboard boxes during the apocalypse?" asked Alex, smiling. "I'm not complaining. I'd rather be busy than not." Alex suddenly noticed plasters on Mike's knuckles. "What happened there?" he asked, nodding towards his stepson's hand. "I fell," replied Mike. "What, onto somebody's face?" "Repeatedly." "Yeah," said Mike without a hint of a smile. Alex just raised an eyebrow. "Look, sometimes stuff just happens. And sometimes stuff just doesn't," replied Alex. "Something happened on the way home from work and I dealt with it. What more do you need to know?" "I need to know all of it," replied Alex. "I'm your father." 5 years earlier, Mike would have spat back, "No, you aren't." But now he knew it was true. "There were a couple of teenagers trying to rob the local co-op. I dealt with them," he said. "Oh, Jesus," replied Alex. "Tell me what dealt with them means exactly." "I bred the shit out of the little bastards," replied Mike. "Oh, God," said Alex. "The next place they try to rob, I better have fucking good disabled access, that's all I can say. You are so out of control, it's scary." "Trust me, Alex, you'll be grateful for it one day soon." Alex couldn't argue. As much as Mike frustrated him, he knew he was right. All I ask is you try to think a little before you act." "Anything on the news?" asked Mike, taking the remote and switching on the TV. "The PM's meant to be making another address tonight." "Oh great, the last one was a real guess. Can't wait to see what he tells us this time. Martians have invaded? The country's water supply has been contaminated by the Ebola virus?" "Well, it'll be on any minute, so why don't you shut your trap and watch," replied Alex, smiling. Mike smiled too, and found the BBC's news channel. Lots of stations had gone down or were showing continuous loops of entertainment and reality shows. The news channel wasn't really news anymore. It was propaganda more than anything, but this was wartime, albeit the enemy was different to any that the country had faced before. "And now we're going over to 10 Downing Street for an address from the Prime Minister," said the camera-friendly female presenter. The screen went black for a moment. When an image appeared, it was of the PM sitting behind his desk. He looked much more relaxed than his address from nearly a month earlier. "My fellow citizens, a month has passed since the face of the world changed forever. Billions have lost their lives." He paused and looked down at his desk in a moment of reverence. "But we are still here. We brought in measures to combat the spread of the infection to these shores, and I am here this evening to give you a progress report." He picked up a glass, took a sip of water, and looked back into the camera as sincerely as he could. "To date, there's not been one case of infection in Britain or Ireland. Our Navy, Coast Guard and Air Force continue to patrol our waters and our skies. All overseas military personnel have now returned to these shores and are involved in vital work to make sure that our country continues to prevail. As you know, we constricted millions to ensure Britain and Ireland became self-sufficient, and that programme has been a resounding success." He paused and managed an inimitable look that instilled confidence and won him the election in a landslide. "Coal production has reached pre-1980 levels. Now please don't misunderstand. This government was and is for renewable energy. But while massive scale production of wind turbines, solar panels and other green energy generation apparatus is ongoing, we need to ensure we have a reliable power supply, especially as winter approaches. After the ill-advised panic buying and food hoarding from the first week of the outbreak, you will notice that the supermarkets are becoming increasingly well stocked once again. Although for the time being the range of items available will not be as varied as before, this will change. We have and are erecting polytunnels on thousands of acres of unused land. Wasteland is being made fit for agricultural purposes. Fish farms are being built as suitable sites all over the country, and hundreds of maritime vessels, large and small, are being adapted and fitted with equipment to turn them into fishing boats. Pharmaceutical manufacturing has doubled since the beginning of the outbreak to make sure there are stockpiles available as we head into winter. Although we urge all citizens to use public transport wherever possible, petroleum manufacture is still at the same level as it was before the outbreak due to trade deals we negotiated. This will be temporary, however. That is why it is essential we use private transport less and communal transport more. Although the after effects of the cyber attacks on the run-up to the start of the outbreak are still being felt, internet and network services in general are beginning to return to normal. I realise there is more work to do on this, but the best minds in the country are trying to resolve the problem. There are still pockets of survivors in other countries who are in contact with us. Most significantly, we are in touch with several research facilities who are supplying us with vital information regarding the virus. Our hope is that this information will eventually lead to the development of a vaccine. The Prime Minister paused and looked straight into the camera once again. In closing, I would just like to say this. I believe the worst of this disaster is behind us. The measures we brought in have built us a firm foundation, and we can only get stronger from here. While things will never be the same again, things will get better. Things are getting better. With each minute, with each hour, with each day, things are getting better. It's up to all of us to make sure that continues. Thank you for playing your part. Good night, and may your God go with you. The screen went black again. Before returning to the bright-faced presenter, Mike immediately turned the volume down and looked towards Alex. "What do you think?" he asked. Alex smiled. "I think he's got this down to a fine art now. He's very engaging and very believable." "No, I mean, what do you think about what he said?" You seen any big expanses of land being levelled for agriculture? No, replied Mike. You seen any polytunnels being built? No, replied Mike. You seen huge improvements in the internet coverage? No. Don't believe everything you see on TV, Mike. And that is all you're getting for the time being. So, like I say, hopefully by this weekend or early next week, the paperback will be ready. As far as everything else goes, Safe Haven 4 is with my editor. She's beavering away on that. The cover's all ready for Safe Haven 4, and it is truly awesome. And I'll be doing a cover reveal in the near future. I don't want to do it too soon, but it's by far and away my favourite cover to date. So, until next time, take care, and thanks once again for all your support. See you soon. Bye-bye.